So what you just said really triggered me because you're mostly talking about, let's say, Asia-orientated countries or businesses. So for me, looking at my experiences, open source intelligence and disclosing information, particularly, for example, from China, is super challenging, which means that performing due diligence on companies in and around China or the countries that you also named um, have some issues that come along with it. You have a language barrier, but you also have, for example, Chinese firewalls and all those other things that you need to at least get access to get the most out of it. Would you then also say that on the proactive side, when you referred earlier to those academics writing research papers or PhDs, and on average, when or at least when I look at it, when I wrote my PhD, I'm super proud of it, so I'm excited. So I want the world to know what kind of great work I did. And with that, you could potentially then, of course, overexpose certain sensitive pieces of information that are part of your PhD. Now, my question would be to you, do you now think with the knowledge that we now have, should we keep publishing those papers publicly, or should we figure out a way to keep this a little bit more to ourselves?
It's a tricky question because I think in the US, there is this great sense of innovation. People come from all over the world to come here to publish, or even just the West in general, right? Like people come here because their ideas are fostered. That's really like underscores what the American dream is, right? So certainly maybe in areas that are a bit more sensitive, but I think the direct partnerships in terms of doing advanced research maybe is something that's more scrutinized. And we saw that recently with the select committee on the CCP and what they've uncovered with some of these universities who have partnerships that are being exploited. Highly likely that the red flags may have been there and maybe they just didn't know what to look for, or maybe it was purely, ignorance to what the threats are. But that's worth the discussion in terms of saying my research is something that's so forward leaning. Dual use capability is something we have to think about, right? And it's not new. I mean, this is something that with nuclear threats we've looked at for a long time. So dual use capability it's not really something new, but it's something that is worth maybe re-examining what the approaches were then. It's just that heightened connectivity with the internet, and something's available. You don't have to maybe head to the library and check it out like you used to. So it's certainly something worth examining. Probably not going to have a quick answer for it in the near term.